Hello, my name is Stefan Ringelschwantner and I have built a new tool for DaVinci Resolve. I found inspiration for the tool in image editing software such as Photoshop and Capture One, but above all in Filmlight Baselight. In Baselight there is a tool called Hue Shift, and this tool is reduced to the 6 main colors red, green, blue, cyan, magenta and yellow. It allows you to shift hue values to neighboring colors and change saturation and luminance values for those specific hues. I built a similar tool for DaVinci Resolve and called it Color Shift. It was important to me to make it very minimalistic so that we can modify our image in broad strokes, which also makes this tool very robust and very easy to use. I've created 4 different DCTLs, each with 6 sliders to manipulate the main colors red, green, blue, cyan, magenta and yellow in a very broad way. The first DCTL I want to show you has sliders to increase the vibrance of the selected color. This tool is an alternative to the saturation tools inside DaVinci. Here's an example. When I increase the saturation with the native tools, at one point the pink color just becomes very bright and it looks like the image was captured on video. In the vector scopes, we can see that the color is clipping. In the CST output, where we do a DaVinci White Gamut to Rec 709 transform, I can turn on saturation compression to prevent clipping. But even with saturation compression turned on, the color itself still looks garish. Another option is to increase the saturation in the HDR tools. But again, dark areas get over-brightened the more I increase the values, resulting in an unpleasant image. For comparison, here's my VIBRANCE DCTL tool. I increase the value, resulting in a nice saturated image, and the tool prevents colors to turn garish the higher we increase the value. So this is at 100%. And I will now switch between the VIBRANCE DCTL tool and Resolve Saturation tool. I will show you more examples. Here a police scene, same problem if we increase the saturation. And here's the VIBRANCE version. Next we have a bowling scene where the red is clipped when we increase saturation to 70. I can switch to HDR and increase the saturation there, which gives slightly better results, but again in these examples the VIBRANCE tool gives me the most pleasing image. So let's move on to the next tool. The next DCTL tool is Density. The tool allows us to reduce the luminance and keeps the color saturated in a subtractive way, avoiding garish colors. This leads to film style-like colors. The results are very similar to the power grade methods available in my film emulation pack. The advantage of this DCTL is that we can apply density and intensity individually for red, green, blue, cyan, magenta and yellow. Here are some more examples. The next DCTL is called Deep, which adds more color density in the shadow area, leaving the midtones and highlights mostly untouched. I will demonstrate this on this gradient. As you can see, increasing the red density slider affects the shadows, midtones and highlights of the image. Compared to the density sliders, the Deep DCTL has much more impact on the shadow area of our image and less impact on the midtones and the highlights. Let's compare the density and deep sliders with the real-world image. First, I increase the density slider, and we see that our skin tone is affected by the slider as expected. This looks very good and gives our image a film-like density. But maybe we want more density in our shadow area and leave the skin mostly untouched. Then we can choose the deep slider instead. First, I will take a still image of the density version. Now I'm going to move the deep slider up, and with the image wipe tool, we can now compare both versions. So this is the density version, and here's the deep version. Back to the density version, and here's the deep version. We can see that the deep slider adds more density to the shadows and affects the skin less than the density DCTL. And for comparison, this is the untouched image where I just applied a base grade. Here again the deep version, and this is the density version again. I also created a DCTL that shifts hue values to neighboring colors. Here's a quick example. I want to shift the color blue more towards cyan, and when I try to use hue versus hue or color warper, the color might shift more towards green, and we have to make decisions about the curves and the grid of the color warper. With the DCTL, it's a bit easier. We simply select the blue slider and decide if we want to shift the blue more towards magenta or more towards cyan. So in this example, I increase the blue to cyan slider, and this looks pretty good. Next, I will show you how these DCTLs can be combined. In this image, I start by adding some more density to the red. I'm going to increase the density in the shadow area with the deep sliders for green. At the end, I will desaturate the blue color. With just a few steps, we can very quickly change the look of our image. So this is before, and this is after. Here another example. I want to shift the blue color more towards cyan and give more density to the yellow color. This is before, and this is after. And here an image where I just want to add more density to the yellow. As I said in the beginning, it is a very robust, minimalistic, easy to use tool to fix very quickly common issues in an image, and it is also great to create an overall look for a scene. A demo version is available, so you can test the tool with your own footage. More information on my website. Have a nice day and see you next time.